for each new day that you give us, Lord. We're grateful that you've gathered us here today to worship you. And now hide me behind the cross. Decrease me, O God, and increase you within me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Conversation.com is a website where parents can go to have questions answered between them and their kids, to talk about anything that parents want to talk about with their young children. And they have a Curious Kids series. And it's a series where small children can ask any question that they would like to. And so there was a question on the Curious Kids series, and it was asked by 5-year-old Emma. And her question was this: why do leaves fall off trees? Well, the short answer is because they're not doing their job anymore, right? But the longer answer is that a leaf's job is to turn sunlight into food for the tree, and to do this, the leaf needs water. If there isn't enough water, the leaf can be damaged and stop working. The tree doesn't want to waste all the nutrients in the leaf, so it takes nutrients from the leaf back into its stems and its roots. And when the leaf is empty, the tree stops holding on to it. And as we know, the leaf falls to the ground or it blows away in a gust of wind. In other words, when the leaf is no longer fruitful, it falls from the tree's branches. And this is by God's design in nature, right? But this morning, I want us to consider, church, what about us? What happens to us as God's people when we disconnect from Jesus, the righteous branch? We can no longer be fruitful for God and multiply the gifts and resources that God has given us. Friends, like the leaves and all of nature, we must remember that welcoming God's abundance comes from remaining connected to Jesus all the time, our righteous branch. In the scripture lesson for today, in Jeremiah, unfaithful and corrupt leaders of Judah weren't connected to the God of Israel at all. And the proof of this was that they were neglecting God's ways and his laws all of the time. Their leadership caused the Judean people to be invaded twice. It caused destruction of the Jerusalem temple, the deportation of large numbers of people. They had no land, they had no home, and they were generally unfruitful. And God wasn't pleased. Because Judean leaders had not attended well to the people of God, God said, "So I will attend to you for your evil doings." The double use of the word attend in this passage is intentional. Because the leaders had not cared well for the people so that they could prosper and be fruitful, God says that he will now deal with them. In the scripture, God says that he intends to do this: to gather the rest of the people from where they are and bring them back, to make them fruitful and multiply, and to raise up leaders who will guide them well without fear. Then God foretells of a new righteous branch that will be raised up for the people. One who will rule as a different kind of king, dealing wisely with the people and executing justice and righteousness in the land. And the proof of this new righteous king is salvation and safety for Judah and Israel. God's intention to make the people fruitful and multiply is a direct reminder of Genesis 1:28 and God's words to Adam and Eve in the creation story. These scriptures say, God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." God's words in Genesis then and now in Jeremiah today to the Judean people remind us that Wise, righteous leadership that produces fruitfulness and abundance can only come from our connectedness with God and Jesus all of the time. Church, times now are not much different than times in the prophet of Jeremiah's day in terms of leadership. We'd like to think that they are, but as I had shared with you all a couple weeks ago, as my grandfather used to say, there's nothing new under the sun. We have corrupt, unjust leadership today, and it's everywhere. We have local, state, national, and international leaders who misuse and abuse their power every day. We have local, state, national, and international leaders making promises of providing jobs and lowering taxes and creating wealth for families and citizens to experience more fruitful lives. And yet we see the fruits of these promises. Increased poverty and a lack of jobs for many people and no real change. We know these leaders and their stories well, too, because they seem to be in every news cycle that we watch during the week, which, as I shared with Lifegate Church, is the reason why I don't watch much news. And strategies to create fruitfulness in our world's empire, in fact, breed corruption and injustice. And we know these strategies well. Working to exhaustion, being busy with no purpose, having a constant mindset of now, being hurried and rushed all of the time, doing things with no vision, foolishness and injustice and fear. Church, these strategies don't make us fruitful, nor do these strategies multiply resources. They only subtract from them. The mayor of the city of Baltimore, Maryland, resigned earlier this year, around April or May, amid a growing scandal related to a self-published book series. The Baltimore mayor's resignation was a blow to the city, who had seen 2 resignations from mayors in less than 10 years, amid fraud and financial scandal. The 3rd mayor declined to seek another mayoral term over police misconduct and a rising murder rate. But church, no matter what leaders or people are corrupt and unjust in their service, the result is always the same, isn't it? Residents and citizens are left with no leadership. They're left with a deficit of resources. U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland had this to say this week about this particular case. Corrupt public employees rip off the taxpayers and undermine everyone's faith in government. The U.S. Attorney's Office and our law enforcement partners will zealously pursue those who abuse the taxpayers' trust and bring them to justice. Church, we praise and thank God for the systems and institutions and people of this world who pursue those who abuse and defraud others, seeking to bring them to justice. But church, today and every day as God's people, we praise and thank God even more for Jesus Christ, the righteous branch, the just one, the true one, who makes us fruitful and multiplies our resources and our efforts if we remain connected to God. In John 15, Jesus talks about being the true vine, and here's what he says. Abide in me as I abide in you. Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit, because apart from me, you can do nothing. God's permanent reign will come soon, but until then, we are called to be the fruitful servant leaders the world needs because of Jesus' presence in us. Jesus Christ, the one true King of an eternal empire, has leadership that is wise and just and grace-filled. And Christ's empire gives all those connected to it work with purpose and vision and justice and righteousness and forgiveness and transformed hearts and love and salvation and fruitfulness and abundance. And because of this, no one is left out. No one is left wanting. All are gathered together in Jesus, the righteous branch, and healed and loved and saved and set free. And we've been blessed by God and called by God to be fruitful in our service to God and multiply the resources given us so others can be abundantly blessed. Church, our connection to Jesus, the righteous branch, was tested this week, both here and at Lifegate Church. First, earlier this week, when I was at Lifegate Church, one of our church leaders told me that she wasn't sure if we'd have all the turkeys needed for the Thanksgiving basket assembly on Wednesday over there. And I knew she was praying in her spirit, and I whispered a prayer in mine and then kept working. By the time of the Thanksgiving basket assembly on Wednesday evening, we almost had what we needed, but we were still short a few turkeys and a ham. Shortly after all the helpers arrived to assemble baskets, a woman came into the fellowship hall with 2 additional turkeys and gave them to our organizing church leader over there. Then the woman asked, "Do you need anything else?" And the leader there said, "One more ham," and she said, "Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to Acme." Church, she returned with the ham and said, "Listen, I don't mind doing this. My sister's homeless and we help her. So any way I can pay it forward, that's exactly what I'm going to do." Because of the woman's generosity and the generosity of others who gave at Lifegate Church and the surrounding community, Lifegate Church partnered with another organization in giving away 63 Thanksgiving baskets to families. But something similar also happened here at Good Shepherd this week, and I could not wait to come and tell you all about it. Our missions leader was all set to buy remaining items for the Thanksgiving baskets, including gift cards for turkeys, but there was a possibility that we wouldn't have all the funds to purchase everything. And so again, I whispered a prayer in my spirit, so did our missions leader, and so did Nicole, who was here, I'm sure. And then I went to attend a phone meeting in another room, and when I came back to my office, Pastor Nicole said to me, "So Kiwanis Club of Northfield called and said they're donating 30 gift cards for our Thanksgiving baskets." And friends, just like that, everything was complete. Good Shepherd gave away 77 Thanksgiving baskets to families in need for this Thanksgiving holiday. But church, we don't have to wait until Thanksgiving. We don't have to wait until Christmas. We don't have to wait until Easter. We don't have to wait until Epiphany or Lent or any other high and holy day of the Christian year. We can do this every day as God's people. Church, God truly does make us fruitful and multiply as long as we remain connected to the true vine, the one, the righteous branch, Jesus. This is our call as people of God. This is how we welcome God's abundance every single day. Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you so much for giving us the gift of your Son, Jesus Christ, the one true King. Lord, help us to remember that to be fruitful and multiply for you, O God, in our service, in our lives, and in all we do, we simply need to remain connected to you, the true vine, the righteous branch. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And now let us continue to worship the Lord through our giving. If our ushers would